I haven't been able to stop thinking about my own personal devotion I did on Tuesday. And so, since it has resonated with me all week long, I thought I'd share it with you all. So, we're reading from Mark chapter 8, starting at verse 14. Now the disciples had forgotten to bring any bread, and they had only one loaf with them in the boat. And he, Jesus, cautioned them, saying, "Watch out, beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and the yeast of Herod." They said to one another, "It's because we have no bread." And becoming aware of it, Jesus said to them, "Why are you talking about having no bread? Do you still not perceive or understand? Are your hearts hardened? Do you have eyes and fail to see? Do you have ears and fail to hear? And do you not remember? When I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many baskets full of broken pieces did you collect?" And they said to him, 12. "And the 7 for the 4,000, how many baskets full of broken pieces did you collect then?" And they said to him, 7. And then he said to them, "Do you not yet understand?" My devotion on Tuesday asked a few questions after reading that passage to me. And it asked me to wonder how the disciples felt being rebuked by Jesus in this way. Right? Jesus, yes, he's talking about yeast of the Pharisees and Herod, the hardening of their hearts, their thoughts, their ambitions against Jesus to bring him to the cross. Jesus is talking about the next level, not physical bread to eat and hold and enjoy and savor, but he's talking about the yeast that gets planted in our hearts, in our lives, that takes us off his course. And the disciples aren't there. They're not going to that next level. They're thinking literal bread. And Jesus is expecting them in this moment to have learned the lesson, right? You're thinking here, but I'm calling you to think up here. I can easily provide for you. You know the numbers. You've seen it. And yet you're obsessed or stuck on only thinking about physical bread instead of the other things to come. Jesus is saying, I have a greater lesson for you, and you're missing it. So the question asked in my devotion was, have you ever let shame over your mistakes distract you from hearing what God has to say? Have you ever been rebuked by Jesus, like the disciples have, in discovering you're missing the mark? Can you truly trust Jesus and his complete forgiveness to stop replaying the guilt of the past and instead listen for God's active voice today? I heard those words on Tuesday morning and they've stuck with me. Shame and guilt are very real for me. I say things all the time that I shouldn't. That's a big one. I just say and do things sometimes. In the moment I get caught up, I want to be a part of the group. And man, Dan talks about it in his sermon, but I think both of us struggle with foot and mouth. Sometimes it just gets too much to carry and you say or do things that you shouldn't. And that shame, that guilt can be stuck on repeat in my brain for much longer than I care to admit. I get the disciples in the boat. I get thinking on one level when Jesus is calling you to the next. I get the shame. I get the pain. I get the guilt of missing what Jesus is talking about. And at the end of the day, I'm running around doing all these things, and then I lay in bed and recap my day and think, gosh, did I miss Jesus today? So if you are in a season right now of guilt and shame and that vicious cycle, I pray that Jesus' truth breaks through that. The truth of forgiveness and wholeness and new mercies each day. That they would find you and they would shape this day in a new and glorious way, in only the way that Jesus can. Amen.